The board is now reconvening into open session at 6:06 p.m. This month, the spotlight is on McMichael Middle School, and we thank you for decorating the bulletin boards at the District Support Center. I will call on Mr. Mulliken to come to the podium and lead our invocation tonight.
1 minute. Okay.
All right. That's fine.
Good evening. Will you bow your heads with me? Dear Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for the rain, but I thank you for the sun that is also just broken through. Father, we ask that you be with us tonight, that your wisdom will be evident here, that you will lead us and the leaders of our schools, the leaders of our town, to make wise decisions, and help us to remember that the number one focus isn't adult issues. The number one focus is student issues, and the number one focus is on our kids, and how we provide a future of Nacogdoches for our kids. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. And Mr. Mulliken, if you would please introduce your students that'll lead us in our pledges tonight.
I would love to. Well, I'm going to introduce several students and a couple of adults, and they're going to come up here and stand first, and then we'll say the pledges for you. First, I want to introduce Miss Terry Choate. Miss Terry Choate is the lady right there in the black shirt with the McMichael shirt on. She is our sponsor for our students when we have the Japan exchange students come over to McMichael, and then she also takes the students over to Japan in May when we have this exchange opportunity. And then I'm going to introduce then our students who right now are hosting the Japanese students at McMichael. So first is Addison Heath. And Addison just hustled back over here from a volleyball game, so Mama did good to get her back over here, so thank you, Addie. And next is Whitley Howe, and next is Mia Brantley. And so they've been, sorry, darling. Next thing is we have had a wonderful opportunity at school yesterday to have some other people that came, some dignitaries come to visit our schools from Kakashima. They came and saw at Moses, and then they came over to McMichael yesterday. And they were here because of it being the 25th anniversary of the time when this partnership first started. But next I want to introduce our three students and their teacher. The first one is Tomiyama Sensei. And then we have Misato-san. Misato-san. There you go. And Tomo-san and Rin-san. And they have been with us now for 10 days, or has it been 10 or 8? 8 days right now. And they've just had a wonderful time. Got to see a lot of stuff about Nacogdoches, a lot of opportunities. I got to go down to NASA and just see different opportunities that are here in Texas and just have this exchange of cultures. And it's just been a wonderful time for our students to learn. And it's been more than just these three students. These Tomo and Misato and Rin have gone to our classes and have had opportunity to have dialogue and interact with our students. It's been really good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them, and they are going to lead us in our pledges. So who's going first? Who's going to do it? Whitley? All right. Whitley. Please rise.
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank y'all very much. Also, I want to real quick say, do I have my students' parents here that have been helping host a family? I got one. Miss Heath is back there. All right. And I'm also going to ask this. Have anybody else in here ever had any students that have come and stayed at their house? All right. So thank you all very much. It's been a wonderful time for us to do it. And I said her name wrong. It's Mia Bentley. All right. So thank you all very much for being and joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mulliken, and we appreciate Mrs. Choate and your work on the Japanese exchange program. It's such an important, wonderful opportunity for our students, and we appreciate everything you guys do to make that happen every year. I know it's a lot of work.
Very well. Thanks, sir.
Right, that brings us to our celebrations and information items. First off, Mr. Les Lineberger will recognize some of our wonderful volunteers from Regay Elementary School.
Good evening, President Fitch, board members, Interim Superintendent Fraley. We continue tonight recognizing groups and individuals that volunteer their time with our students. Principal Julia Wells is here tonight from Regay Elementary to talk about the indispensable assistance and support her school receives from volunteers. Ms. Wells.
Good evening, President Fitch, board members, Interim Superintendent Fraley. I am going to introduce you to two people that are very important to our volunteer and our supporters at Regay, and I think they need to be recognized. Miss Ellen Beasley, if you will come over. She takes care of who comes in, when they come in, how long they're there, and lets us know. So she keeps up with that. And then Lindsay Turner, my curriculum assistant principal, she kind of tells, this is what we need and this is where everybody is. So I'm going to let Miss Turner and Miss Beasley talk tonight since they take care of this.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Turner. I'm the curriculum assistant principal at Regay Elementary. I guess good evening, President Fitch and board members and Interim Superintendent Mr. Fraley. I kind of hesitate back saying before us that we have volunteers. We don't have volunteers that come to our campus. We have supporters. We have supporters that come and even call random times saying, what can I do for your school? And my first response is, we'd love to have you, and what do you want to do? When's your time available? We'll take any and all time. And so I don't even want to call them volunteers because they're supporters. They want to make sure that our children read, write, and they help them with friendship, being able to communicate, and there's another adult that cares for them. And so tonight, Ms. Beasley and I would like to highlight a couple of the groups that come to help our campus on many different events throughout. So one of our first groups is our SFA football players. If you were to come on our campus Thursday morning, they greet every student that comes in, out of the bus line, through the car rider line. We get high fives, hello, great day. The kids love it. They've even started adopting some of the football players. And I would encourage anybody to come on our campus Thursday mornings and see this welcome greeting. It starts our day off right, and the kids get super excited about it. We also have our women's basketball team come in, and they work with students in our PE group. Again, that's another time where the students see athletes coming in and working with the schools and giving back. We have SFA 101 students coming in, and they help with our kindergarten classes. They help them with science, going out to PE, having another adult to play with them, ball, catch, again, socialization. We're very lucky to have that group. That's a new thing for this year also, and it's really neat to see the kindergartners. They're walking by, and they're like, hey, I see you, and it's our Friday entertainment for them, and the kids really enjoy that. We also have two really big groups that come in, and this took a little staging, but it's wonderful to have them. We have a writing group that comes in with Dr. Riley from SFA, and she helps with her students every second grader work on writing. Every second grader gets pulled once a week, and they get to help with writing 101, 1 to 2 in a small group. That allows our teachers to be able to pull smaller groups and help them with writing skills. We've learned that the foundation starts very young to help with our 4th grade writing start, and so this really is a powerful thing that we have going on. We also have another math group that comes 2 days a week that helps over 70% of our 4th graders with math numeracy. If they cannot do computation, they struggle. And so we've now found a time where they come in and help with, like I said, over 70% of our students. The kids love it. They get excited when they see their mentor come in, and they get to start seeing success with that. We've had that program going on a long time with Dr. Ewing. I think this is our 4th year. And so we are very privileged to have them come on our campus. We have a couple other groups, and let Ms. Beasley talk about a couple other ones.
We have Grace Bible Church, and they come, some of them will come and eat lunch with certain students throughout the school year. And we also have volunteers come from Kids Hope, and they do the same thing, working with students, kind of one-on-one, giving them that buddy system. We also have volunteers and supporters from Westminster Presbyterian Church, and they are mentoring students, working with math and reading. A lot of them work with kindergarten and 1st graders. And so that is really, really sweet to see. It's kind of like a grandparent effect, where they have, one-on-one time and working with what they're, what they need. We also have our PTA volunteers, and they help run our workroom. And anything that the teachers may need, they help with that. And then we have parents as well, who will come in and help in classrooms and chaperoning field trips, and anything that they can help with on campus.
And so I know we kind of put it just very lightly, but just kind of skimming through groups, but honestly, they help run our school. We do have other 2 supporters, ServPro of Nacogdoches and Walmart Supercenter. They come over and they help motivate our teachers. We get little supplies, words of encouragement, cheers, so we couldn't do without them. So when we say volunteers, we really mean our supporters, and our school runs with the wonderful supporters. So we do have a couple of our supporters here tonight, and we wanted to see if they can come up so we could recognize them.
Absolutely. Do we have any student athletes here tonight? Yeah? There you go. Well, I really want to praise the student athletes a little extra special, because I know a lot of you guys are already working tirelessly. Your student athlete, you've got practices that you have to deal with, your schoolwork, and to make time to also volunteer with these young students. Thank you so much for that. That's really going above and beyond. And I know it's special to the kids, because when they come out and watch you play on Saturday, they know you, and they know you personally, and I know they're rooting for you. So that's wonderful. So.
And good luck Saturday.
Yes.
We're going mobile tonight. I like that accent check. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Turner, if I may ask one more question. For those who may be watching this live stream or on video later, if there's a business or organization out there that's interested in volunteering with one of our campuses, how can they go about doing that? How do we hook them up?
Well, you're welcome to call me personally. I would love to have you come on and recognize campus. That's 569-5052. But then we also have Erin Wyndham, too. I know that a lot of the business will go through her, and then she sets them up. We had a phone call earlier this week, and they asked, they wanted to come to our campus. I set them up with the teacher. I said, what day do you want to come? Tell me the time, and I got you hooked up with the teacher. So it works out wonderful.
Great.
And so we had over, for our volunteer hours, we had over 350 volunteer hours so far, so we're very
So
excited.
far.
So far.
That's incredible.
So we're
That's
very
incredible.
excited.
Thank you for all y'all's work.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I could add a couple of things. Just want to again thank the folks at Brigade for all the work they do there, and for their supporters, who I know also Walmart redid their teachers' lounge. which looks very, very nice. Really appreciate that. And again, Erin Wyndham back there, the shy lady in the back, is our contact for any organization who wants to just volunteer work in the district. She's our coordinator for that purpose. So we're excited about having Erin on board.
Thank you. And Mr. Lineberger, I believe you've got a little something, well, it's not a little something by any stretch of the imagination, or rather, big something for us to celebrate tonight, if you'll continue.
Well, it's always good when I get to start out with, please hold your applause for a moment. But earlier this month, Nettie Marshall Academy of Dual Language was named a 2018 National Blue Ribbon Award School, one of 349 schools across the nation to earn that honor, and one of just 24 here in Texas. To put that into perspective, there are a little more than 5 million students attending roughly 9,000 public schools in Texas, and Nettie Marshall earned this award. Please welcome Dr. Joseph Rodriguez and the staff from Nettie Marshall Academy of Dual Language. And it's okay to clap now.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Board President Fitch, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Fraley. I want to thank you for your continual support of Nettie Marshall today and in the future. But today is not about me. Today is about these wonderful, great teachers that we have sitting here today, and our parents and our students who stay after school and come on Saturdays and do whatever it takes to make our school successful in what it is today. And wholeheartedly, I have the best group of teachers in all of Nacogdoches ISD, and I'm blessed to be at Nettie Marshall, and I want to thank you for bringing me and accepting me here in Nacogdoches ISD. I'm truly blessed every morning that I wake up. And so I do have a little gift for our board members when we come up for pictures. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please come on up for a photo opportunity.
Mr. Lineberger, would it be possible, I know we're going to do a picture with the teachers, but to introduce each teacher as well and what grade they are teaching?
I'm going to leave that to Dr. Rodriguez, though.
I'm Dana Harwell, and I'm our PE teacher.
Hello, I'm Jerry Vaughn, and I'm the curriculum and instructional coach. I'm Donna Rodriguez. I teach English language arts and math in 2nd grade.
Zari Mirazimi, English language art and math in 2nd grade.
Yolanda Martin, Spanish. I teach social studies, science, language arts and English, language arts and Spanish.
Elizabeth Rodriguez, I teach Spanish 2nd grade.
Joanne Brewer, and I work with special ed.
Hi, I'm Teddy Farley, and I teach 4th grade English, language arts, social studies.
Hello, I'm Maria Ramos, and I teach 1st grade English language arts and math.
Hello, I'm Veronica Jones. I teach English and math, 1st grade.
Norma Torres, and I teach 1st grade Spanish.
Hi, I'm Erin Yannick, and I teach resource.
Good evening, I'm Jasmine Sanchez, and I teach bilingual language arts and science, 5th grade.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Ariola. I teach kindergarten.
Belinda Ordaz, I'm the ELL and RTI specialist.
Hilda Villanueva, I teach 3rd grade social science and social studies.
I'm Diane Brister, the campus counselor.
If the board would come on down for this photo and bear with us for just a moment, we're going to have to do some adjustment here on the lines.
Sure. But real quick, before we go down for photos, I just want to express, and I want to give the board members an opportunity to express to the teachers. I don't think that there are words to describe how proud we are of the work that you've done. And thank you. Thank you, thank you. You are bringing so much pride and joy to our district. And I know it's a hard job, and I know you must come home at the end of some days just going, ugh. But you and your kiddos, this is what it's all about. Thank you for that.
I'd like to say so. Primero voy a hablar en español. Primero, les doy las gracias por lo que hacen por los estudiantes. Ustedes valen por dos. Nunca olviden que ustedes son las personas que les van a afectar a los niños. ¿Qué va a pasar en la futura? Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Do I need to translate this? Does everybody understand what I probably not?
You said thank you very much.
Yes. I said they're worth their weight in gold by 2 because they are very dedicated doing what they need to do for our kids. Really appreciate it.
And I echo exactly what he said.
Does anyone else would like to say anything?
I too want to say thank you all for the great job. I joined you Monday morning with the celebration of your students. What a celebration. The kids were so excited, and it was just a great celebration. Teachers and principal, thank you all for all your work you've done, will continue to do to make a difference in our students. And really appreciate seeing that varsity football team from Natchez High School over there. And the kids are so excited to see that group. And so thank you all for the great work and will continue to do. Thank you all.
I have something to say. I'll just say it in English. Pero yo puedo decir en español si quiere. There's nothing like building something from a human being. And you've built wonderful human beings, not just by scores, but by who they are. And you've done that by your example and by your efforts. They have been magnanimous beyond what we could ever calculate the cost to you and your family. Thank you for setting the example for not just this school district, but for this state and this nation. What you have done is monumental, and it's much more important than something like the Eiffel Tower, because what you built will live forever. And we want you to keep doing that, please.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Madam President, before we go, I want to say again, congratulations. I've been involved with Blue Ribbon Schools before, and there's a lot of work that goes on years prior to the application process. So I want to thank the staff, the students, and the parent volunteers as well. And in my visit to Japan, I learned a couple of phrases in another language. Sudarashi means wonderful, and arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much.
We're going to come around and join you for a picture if that's okay. Be patient with us.
Goodness, Fred.
Well, I want 5 of y'all to step up to the back to the stage.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Let's take several. All right. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Everybody say Nanny Marshall. Nanny Marshall. Okay. You want? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
What do you do with it? Right?
Send it to the center.
You sure it's too much already? Good stuff.
Our next item is the interim superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. How do you follow that? It is tremendous work there, and very, very something for us all to be proud of. This week, we hosted visitors from Japan to mark the 25th anniversary of our relationship between the cities that first began in 1993 and has continued over the years between students of Nakakoshi ISD and Japan's Gogushima Unkuanshakan Junior High and Amami City Public Schools. Amami City is on the north end of an island located southwest of the Japanese mainland. And last night we had a number of activities this week, and last night we had a big dinner at Dr. Patillo's house at the university with our visitors, and just really appreciate all they've done. It's a wonderful thing that we're doing, and meeting the kids has been great as well. This Saturday, the high school marching band will be competing in the Region 21 marching contest at Homer Bryce Stadium at SFA. Our band is scheduled to march at 8:30 p.m. Saturday. Our band has a history of doing quite well in this competition. Something to bear in mind is should the weather be inclement, they're going to move the competition to Carthage High School and their indoor practice facility. Congratulations to our FFA students who did so well last week at the Piney Woods Fair. Tristan Chadester had the grand champion Mark Barrow at the fair, and Callie Dorset had the reserve grand champion Lamb, and both earned reserve senior showmanship awards in that competition. Tristan and Callie were 2 of 11 FFA members of NHS to land slots in the premium sale. We're proud of their accomplishments, and all the students took part in this. I know this is hard work as well. Very excited about the student-run video display board at the stadium. A lot of talk about that. Has been operational for the last couple of weeks, and our students are doing quite well with it. They run the cameras, they run the control room. We have started a new program. When I got here, I'm told the scoreboard, when it rained, it wouldn't work, so we had to replace it. So we had a choice of replacing it with what we knew or to invest in our kids like they would be investing around us. So we chose to invest in our students, and so now our students are running this video board. We started a program, and of the 13 students involved, many of them, I'm told, had not really had a connection to the school, to the high school, prior to having this opportunity. So we're very proud of what they're doing and how they're growing. And I was at a school yesterday who's one of the teachers' husband is working with these kiddos, just bragging upon how hard they're working, what all they're learning. And there was someone who does film with the NFL that is helping them with some of the shots. And if you've been there, you'll notice there's some great work going on. So we're very proud of them. And so let's keep this in proper context. This was a program that we've launched. That many of our kids are learning marketable skills that we didn't have before. So we're very excited about that. Other reminders for next week, we'll have another huddle time at McMichael Middle School. It'll be at 6 o'clock in the evening. And then we're going to have a tour at 7:30 for those who want to take it to visit the Carpenter campus. I think Mrs. Moore's back there. So company's coming, perhaps, all right? And we'll have another huddle time public hearing at Natchez Medical Center. That'll be on Thursday, a week from tonight. I believe it's 6 o'clock at 4920 Northeast Arlington Drive. You all know what the medical center is, right? So it's open to the public as well, so looking forward to that. I'm talking with the Rotary Club next week and Kiwanis Club next week. I'm about to lose my voice, and I'll be visiting every campus. I think that concludes next week as well. Just talking about parts of the bond, because there's been a lot of misinformation out there. Some of it on purpose, I know, but that's all part of it. But we're getting the facts out, and I want to make sure that our staff knows what we're talking about at least, if nothing else. So that's it.
Thank you. It's been very busy.
Oh, yeah, more to come.
That work. Right, that brings us to our next item, 5, which is public comment. Individuals wishing to speak completed a form located by the entrance door and turned it in prior to the meeting. Comments will be kept to a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of 5 or more individuals having the same concern shall have a single spokesperson for the group. This open forum is not the time or place to make complaints about a district employee. The board has specific complaint policies and procedures for presenting those concerns. The board cannot respond to comments in this open forum, but we can inform you of district policies and procedures. The total time allotted for this portion of the meeting is 30 minutes. Mr. Michael Martin will be our timekeeper, and I will call it to the speaker's attention should their time limit expire. Our first speaker tonight is Mr. Nicholas Martinez. If you'll come forward. Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Good evening, President Fitch, board members, and Interim Superintendent Fraley. May I direct to you in English and Spanish so any person in the audience or anyone watching this live stream can understand? Thank you. Buenas tardes, buenas noches, Presidenta Fitch, miembros de la Junta y Superintendente Interino Fraley. My name is Nicolas Martinez Jr., and I come here as a parent and PTO president of Nettie Marshall Academy of Dual Language. Mi nombre es Nicolás Martínez y vengo hoy ante ustedes como un padre y el presidente del PTO de la Escuela Nettie Marshall Academia de Lenguaje Dual. I would like to know how many of you before today knew there was a small school in Deep East, Texas that was recently named a National Blue Ribbon School. Me gustaría saber cuántos de ustedes antes del día de hoy sabían que hay una pequeña escuela que recientemente en el este de Texas fue nombrada una Escuela Nacional del Listón Azul. That small school exists here in NISD, and it's Nettie Marshall Academy of Dual Language. Esa pequeña escuela existe aquí en el Distrito Escolar Independiente de Nacogdoches y se llama Nettie Marshall Academia de Lenguaje Dual. I would like to thank the teachers, students, staff, and parents for their hard work and dedication, but I would like to also mention someone who hasn't received the recognition they deserve, Mr. Bradley Durham. If he's watching, thank you, Mr. Bradley Durham. Me gustaría agradecer a los maestros, estudiantes y personal y padres por su arduo trabajo y dedicación, pero también me gustaría mencionar a alguien que no ha recibido el reconocimiento que se merece, el señor Bradley Durham. Si nos está viendo, Mr. Durham, gracias. Thanks to his leadership skills, he showed us that it wasn't just about working independently as a teacher or as a parent, but how working together as one big family, we could overcome any obstacle at Nettie Marshall. And that was recently shown last school year, going through several acting principles and still be able to be named a Blue Ribbon School. Gracias a sus habilidades de liderazgo, nos mostró que no se trata solo de trabajar de forma independiente como maestros o padres, sino de trabajar juntos como una gran familia para superar cualquier obstáculo en Nettie Marshall. Y eso fue demostrado el año pasado escolar, después de pasar por varios directores interinos y aún así poder ser nombrada una escuela de listón azul. Nettie Marshall made history by being named a National Blue Ribbon School on October 1st, 2018. I feel the school hasn't received the recognition it should by the district, unlike other Texas school districts that I've seen. I know the current priority for the district is the bond. I would like to know when Nettie Marshall community will receive the celebration they deserve, and that was promised by the past Superintendent Dowdy. If Nettie Marshall was to win, hopefully it's not until all the excitement has passed, because this event won't happen again at Nettie Marshall or in Nacogdoches ISD. The teachers should also receive an appropriate celebration, not one that was supposed to be a celebration and ended up being a talk with Mr. Fraley about the bond. Nettie Marshall hizo historia al ser nombrada.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Gracias por
Mr.
su tiempo.
Martinez.
Madam President, okay. Mr. Martinez, first I want to say thank you for serving as PTO president. That is a tremendous task. And my wife has been that. I couldn't do that. That's a lot of work. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad that you thank Mr. Durham as well. He had a big role in this. I do appreciate that. And I don't know what Ms. Dowdy promised you guys. No one told me until tonight there was a promise made. So maybe why I didn't do it. So I can't do what I don't know about. And no one's brought to my attention that there was a promise of a big celebration. If that's the case, I'll try to find out what I can about it. This is the first I've heard of it, though. Oh, and the scheduled meeting with the staff was never about Blue Ribbon. This has been scheduled some time ago with all the campuses about the bond. I'm doing it at every campus. So the idea that we preempted Nettie's celebration for a bond talk is incorrect, because the meeting scheduled with me the other afternoon was only about the bond presentation. It was nothing about the Blue Ribbon, so I don't know where that misinformation started from, but that's not correct.
If I may, Mr. Fraley, Larry was sent home that day, or the day before.
Sent from who? From me?
From the school.
Okay, but it wasn't from me?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that'll bring us to our next speaker, Amber Teal. Ms. Teal.
She's not speaking tonight. Good evening, President Fitch, board members, Interim Superintendent Fraley. This past weekend, Trina Brown and myself held our first of many parent connection meetings at Ironville Baptist Church. Thank you to Reverend Irvin for allowing us to host it there. The purpose of these meetings is to bridge the gap between the community and the district. Trina Brown and I both receive calls from parents with NISD-related questions weekly. If we were unable to give them pointers, we give them the contact information that they need. We wanted to use this as a means to inform the community and build trust and confidence between the community and NISD, and ultimately empower parents to be good, productive advocates for their kids. I'm just going to talk about it just kind of briefly. The topics we cover are based on what the parents need and want. So each meeting we'll talk about what the next meeting will be about. The past week, come here, kid. The past week we had 7 adults and 1 SFA student and 8 children in attendance. All adults received a 1-inch binder, a copy of the student handbook, and a spiral for notes. Our focuses last week were SAT and the handbook. So we opened up the meeting with an activity where each group of parents were given a red piece of paper and a green piece of paper. On the red piece of paper, they wrote down negatives or bad issues that they've had with the district, and on the green one, we wrote positive things. So one of the negative things that kind of struck me that a parent was really passionate about is that what she said was, you all take parent complaints defensively. And this was a big discussion, and the parents just felt like they were attacked every time they gave a complaint. Okay. After that activity, we showed parents how helpful the handbook is and the contents of it, and we encouraged them to refer to the handbook when situations arise. So then Trina talked about the SAT and how the children could obtain a waiver. And we found out that a lot of the parents didn't understand the form that was sent home and never sent it back. We wanted these meetings to be a way to introduce and brag on NISD, and before the meeting, I received a phone call from someone in the district questioning my intentions, and I asked the district if the district could provide those handbooks and those forms that the parents may not have gotten, and I was told no. Some of the parents said that they received them, didn't send them back. Some of them didn't even know what they were, in which when you get that handful of packets or that packet of papers home, you may not know what everything is. So it was kind of frustrating to me to be such a positive and supporter of NISD, to be told no for me to give out forms that parents are already welcome to. I was told that the parent would have to request the form from the school and they would have to get it themselves. I couldn't get just a bulk of those and give it to the parents. So if you don't know, I run a supporters page of about 900 members, and I don't post nothing but positivity. So for me, to be told, I don't know what your intentions are, was very, very hurtful. I've been in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Till. Our next speaker, Catherine Daniel.
Good evening, President Fitch, Superintendent Fraley, and board members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak and for your service to our community. Tonight, I speak to you as a parent of a future NISD student. I taught elementary school for several years, and during that time, I quickly grew to understand how negatively our schools are impacted by the lack of social services provided to our students. This is not an NISD problem. It is a statewide problem and probably a countrywide problem. This issue I'm addressing is counseling for our students. Far too many of our students come to school so scared, sad, overwhelmed, and in need of so much more than academic instruction. Without help with those issues, they are not likely to thrive academically. Because of this commonality among our students, I have never understood why. Why do we and the rest of the state hire folks with master's degrees in counseling to be our testing coordinators? Testing coordination is important, but my gosh, people go to school, spend money on graduate school to become counselors, to sit behind a desk and do nothing but testing paperwork. It's gotta stop. No offense to the counselors, you all are only doing what you're told to do. We could discuss this nonsense for hours. Be happy to if any of you want to. It is a problem that we must address. Tonight, I'm speaking to say hooray, kudos, God bless the staff of BQJ. Their leader, Mr. Miller, Ms. Pleasant, the counselor that pushed for these changes, her coworker, Ms. Bowser, and their counseling supervisor, Cindy Ivy. Due to the open-mindedness of these NISD employees, BQJ is, as far as I know, our first campus to take testing away from our professionally trained and licensed counselors so they can counsel the children that need their expertise so badly. Without these needs being met, the TEA and the feds cannot and they should not expect our students to thrive academically, nor can we expect violence and school shootings to decrease or cease in this country. I praise the efforts of Ms. Pleasant, her coworkers at BQJ, their principal, Tom Miller, and Cindy Ivy. This is a change we have needed for so long. A couple years ago, a group of teachers within a teacher organization went to the board, went to the superintendent, and begged for this to happen. It has not been discussed since, until this came about. I encourage other schools to follow their lead. NAC ISD can and should be the district in Texas to lead the way in this change. We have the first university in Texas. If we want return of the NAC, I believe this should be a part of it. We can lead the state in this movement. We can prove to the state and to our country that when we turn our focus to students' needs, their emotional needs, confidence needs, safety, and so on, then we will see greater, longer-lasting positive impacts on academic achievement. Thank you, BQJ. Thank you, teachers, for realizing that while your instructional time is oh so precious and cannot be wasted, our counselors' talents cannot be wasted. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Madam President, Ms. Daniel, I have one word. Amen. Thank you.
All right. That will take us to our consent agenda. And as we move into our consent and then after that, the action agenda, I would like to take a moment to let everybody know, this is the second month we've used a new format for our board meetings where we're doing a board workshop on the Monday prior to this board meeting. At that Monday workshop, we go through every item in great detail on both the consent and the action agenda. This gives staff time to respond to any questions or concerns that we may have. Those questions and issues have been resolved, so we're ready to move forward tonight. Just wanted to clarify that. We have looked at all these items carefully. All right, with that, I will open up the floor for a motion on the consent agenda.
Madam President.
I apologize. Let me do something first. I'm getting myself out of order. If there is a board member who wishes to discuss an item on consent agenda separately of consent, if you would mention that item number now so it can be pulled. All right, hearing none, I apologize for getting ahead of myself. I'll give the floor back to Mr. Neal.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the September 2018 board meeting minutes.
That'd be the consent agenda?
Consent agenda, yes.
Consent agenda?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Neal to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Mr. Montoya. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item 7, our discussion action agenda. Item A is the consideration of the RFP for instructional materials. I do believe we had some additional information coming from Dr. Hill tonight on that.
Good evening, President Fitch, board members, Interim Superintendent Fraley. I believe at your seat you have a standalone handout with some vendor names. On Monday morning, about 10 a.m., the business office or some select individuals from the business office opened our proposals that we received. And then a team of 8 from the teaching and learning team yesterday rated those proposals based on the rubric that was in the RFP that was posted online. So what you see in front of you are the list of vendors that we would like to seek approval for this evening. And these are vendors that we would like to utilize throughout this school year to purchase instructional materials, supplies, using federal funds.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Hill?
So these will be the vendors for the entire rest of the school year?
For federal funds,
For
yes,
federal
sir.
funds.
And this is not saying that we will utilize all of these vendors. It will just allow us the opportunity to use these vendors if so. Is that correct, Ms. Barbrick? Okay.
I'll open the floor for a motion.
Madam President, I'll make a motion the board approve the proposed vendors to purchase instructional materials by using federal funds.
Thank you, Mr. Nealon. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. We have a second. Any discussion or questions?
I want a clarification, and we're looking at a particular program from one of the vendors.
We are, yes, sir.
Okay.
From Mentoring Minds.
Okay.
We have purchased from Mentoring Minds for the past several years, I believe since 2005. And it's usually a rather large purchase that's typically over the $50,000 for the threshold, which constitutes us going out for RFP. So if it's possible, we would like to, because of the RFP process, we're a little behind schedule, but we would like to go ahead and initiate the requisition and bring the purchase order to you all at the November board meeting so that we could go ahead and get the instructional materials ordered and out to the campuses. In fact, this morning we were working to make sure that we're going to order the right thing. So we haven't acquired the or obtained the official quote yet, but we're hoping to get that done tomorrow.
All right.
But we would like to go ahead and initiate that requisition, enter it into e-finance, and then bring it back to you all for official approval. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody have any questions or concerns about that process as Dr. Hill described it?
No.
All right. No, hearing no further questions, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. That brings us to item B, consideration of appointments to the Citizens Bond Review Committee. Mr. Fraley.
Thank you, Madam President. We discussed this in a workshop Monday, and we received some additional applicants from potential candidates, and I'm told there's some more coming in, and we still need to do some balancing with the representation. So I would ask that we not vote on this tonight because it's not complete, and I need a little more time to hopefully have a better representation across the board for this very important committee. But I know the board is very committed to the committee, and I want to make sure we have as much balance as possible, and I want to give folks a little more time. I spoke with the group Monday night, matter of fact, and some of them indicated they wanted to be considered for it. So if we can give them a little more time and bring it back to you in November at the next meeting for final approval, but I'll get it to you all as quickly as I can get information in from the applicants as well for your consideration.
Okay. So I think it would be correct then to let the minutes reflect that the superintendent has pulled this item from the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That'll take us to item 8, reports. A is Special Olympics. Ms. Audrey Young.
Yes. Good evening, President Fitch, board members, Superintendent Fraley. I have some wonderful news. Nacogdoches ISD and our special education department is going to join the Special Olympics program called Unified Champion Schools. It's in your board packet between pages 77 and 82. It tells you all about it, but the program essentially has morphed into an inclusion type program. And so we're working closely with the director of CTE, Don Hasley, and the students in the program will be building boards for the children to play cornhole. And we're going to have a competition in the spring. And so our Gen Ed students will be working with our special education students, and this is going to be their unified project together. Do you have any questions?
That sounds very exciting.
We're really
I think it's fantastic. I have a grandson that's in the same kind of program at the schools in New Mexico, and he was ecstatic. They won first place in their basketball thing. And I mean, he's sending pictures and everything, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Very good. They're also going to learn to play washers as well. And so we chose that because we feel that that's culturally relevant in East Texas. It's something that they can do, you know, in their back lawns or church programs or whatever. And so we're really looking forward to collaborating together and completing that program in May.
Well, thank you for taking the initiative and spearheading this.
Yes. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That'll bring us to 8B, Bilingual Program Annual Evaluation. And that'd be Ms. Evelyn Salceda.
Hi, good evening, President Finch, board members, Interim Superintendent Fraley. So every year we have to present just the bilingual and ESL program evaluation, so this is what I have to present to you. So I'm gonna start with the numbers first, and right now we are serving 1,767 students. That means that 28% of our total student population are English language learners or English learners. The second table that we have right there is just a projection of the last 10 years as far as the growth of English learners over the past 10 years. So if you see 2009 compared to now, we have increased the number up to like 5 times. So that's a big number right there. The second table right there shows you the programs that we currently have. We have a transitional early exit just at pre-K level. We have mainly one-way dual language and two-way dual language programs, and those are for Spanish-speaking English learner students. And we also have English as a second language, and those are specifically for all grade levels. So we have content-based and pull-out. This table shows you on green our bilingual programs and the campus that we have the programs at. For example, Bruce Queen Jones, we have pre-K, kinder, and first grade bilingual, and then the rest of the grades are ESL. So as you can see, for example, in Eddie Marshall, we have all the way to 5th grade. Our goal as a district is to every year continue and incrementing year by year our services across the district, and that is just elementary. The next table that we have is NISD is a district that due to the insufficient number of bilingual and ESL teachers, we have to submit the ESL and bilingual waivers to TA, but we have to monitor the progress that we're making on those. So that table, the first one shows on 2017-18, we have 13 certified bilingual teachers just at the elementary level. We have 3 of those that were working on their certification. This current year, 2018-2019, we have 20 bilingual certified teachers at elementary level. In addition, there's 4 of teachers that are working towards obtaining that bilingual certification. The intent is to make plans for next year. At this point, looking at the numbers that we have, we're gonna need additional 5 bilingual teachers for the 2019-2020 school year. And the table below shows you where our bilingual teachers are at this point. We also have to, as a program, we have to look at the progress of our English learners in all areas. Right there just shows you the academic, and that, like you said, math, English, language arts, writing, and science and biology. That is just the percentage of success of our English language learners. The main point for this as a program, we need to look at the areas where our English language learners are struggling. For example, we see that in 4th grade and 7th grade, writing is an area that we need to work on. We noticed that, for example, math is an area that our English language learners succeed. So we have to keep close attention into the areas, the academic areas of need. We also have to look at their progress in language proficiency, and the table is kind of small, but pretty much every student we need to monitor for their growth in the reading, writing, listening, and speaking. We have 4 areas that we have of growth. We have the beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. What it shows you there in the colors, not necessarily the numbers, but we want to see as the years go by that in kindergarten, for example, we have a lot of numbers of students in the beginner stage in their listening in those areas. But when we move up all the way to 5th grade, 7th grade, we want to see those beginner sections kind of decreasing and for our students to become more proficient in English. So we have to monitor that closely. And of course, going into our 7th to 12th grade, we don't want to see, we want to see a minimum number of students that are in the beginning stage, which probably are our newcomer students, and have bigger numbers in our advanced and advanced high. So we have to look at that closely. And lastly, we have to provide professional development to continue the success of our programs. And those are just some examples of the things that we have had so far and the things that we have planned. And the last thing is just, I would like to thank all our bilingual teachers and our English language specialists, who some of them are here because without them, this would not be possible. Do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You're saying we're needing 5 bilingual teachers for the next year.
Mhm.
Do we have an idea of whether we're going to be able to find those teachers? Because I know
Yes.
they've been scarce.
Yes. One of the things that I'm working is with SFA, so I'm working on identifying, growing our own, all those teachers that are currently in the teaching program who are Spanish speakers, but SFA doesn't have like a certification program, so we identify them and I contact them and we try to kind of work with them so they can actually work with us. For example, right now we have 2 bilingual Spanish speaker teachers that are going to be graduating in December. So I'm already contacting them so they can stay with us. Another thing that we're doing is pretty much promoting our efforts and try to be competitive with our close districts. For example, Lufkin, try to be at the same level so we can attract more teachers. We're working on that.
I know you've got a big mountain to climb because that's real difficult to be able to get them. So hopefully we will
Yes.
have them for next year.
Yes, sir. And we have, 7 teachers in a year, it was a lot. So, any other questions?
I noticed that in the first, second, and third grade, we have really extremely outstanding performance. And so this group's going to continue on and get better. So I know everybody works as hard as they can, but we really want to focus on those teachers who've done such an excellent job with these scores. And I'm just, we have many Spanish speakers, and we have still a lot of work to be done, and thank you for what you do to get it done.
I've got a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Since we're on this slide, let me start here and just say kudos for going from 13 to 20. That's incredible, and I know that's through your hard work and your recruitment efforts, and so thank you so very much for that. I know these teachers are in demand, and
Yes.
it's exciting to see that we are successfully recruiting them, and hopefully that success will continue, and we'll see continued growth next year. Would you go back to that first slide that gave us our ESL, there you go, our ESL numbers? I have to ask this because it's a little concerning. Anytime you see something that kind of falls out of the data norm, you have to take a closer look at it.
Exactly.
In this situation, the last several years, we've been increasing by 200 students a year for the last 4 or 5 years that you go back, and then we hit this sudden slowdown this year. How would you account for that?
There's 2 factors. Our goal for the bilingual ESL program is for our English language learners to exit the program.
Correct.
So when we look at numbers, we need to look at 2 measures. Number 1 is that because we're having more students coming into our district that are English language learners, 1. The 2 is that we have to pay close attention to our long-term English language learners. We want to exit them as soon as possible. That means that we want to make sure that they are not only academically successful, but also linguistically successful. So that is why we have those numbers.
Do you track those numbers on exits? And
Yes.
So would we see a larger number of students? I know maybe you could provide that to us.
Yes.
Via email. Did we have a large number of students exit the program in the last year, and that's why the number came down?
That is the goal. And
Okay.
monitoring exiting is a big component of the program because TA wants us to continue exiting, because if we have a very small number of students that are exiting, that means that we're not being successful at
Correct.
providing the academic and the linguistic support that they need.
Absolutely, and I know a lot of times if we haven't succeeded by the time they get to high school, I think the term is we tend to create dropouts because of the frustration, because of the language barriers. So this is a extremely important issue for our community, because we do have such a large percentage of English language learners. I do want to make sure, though, that it's not that we didn't do a good job identifying them. And that was, and I don't want to go to the negative. It's just a concern when you see the number drop that great is, well, and that's why I would love to see the exit numbers, because do the exit numbers prove that out, that we just have exited a whole bunch, or did we not do a good job identifying?
Yes, and
So-
we have a system in place to make sure that we take a close look at identifying all our students and continue monitoring them.
All right, thank you for that. You've kind of had a year now, so you've kind of gotten the grass under your feet and got your bearings, and I know you have big expectations for this program moving forward, and that's very exciting for us to hear from you. At this point, what would you say the greatest need is for our bilingual program?
I would say consistency. That's the biggest, which we're working on guidelines and so we can have, so all students can have the same opportunity, same across the district. I think that will be the main thing, which is setting up systems in place for
Super. So
consistency.
you've identified that and are working toward it, obviously.
Yes.
One question on, I know you mentioned that SFA doesn't offer the bilingual certification program. I know I've had that discussion with a few of the folks up at SFA as well. Do you see that there's any way that we, as a board or as a school district, could support an initiative or help encourage them to look at that? Is that something we should be doing, is the question?
I think having conversations is always good. Because that shows the interest. I had recently talked to the executive director of admissions at SFA, so I know the conversation from other districts is happening as well.
Okay, and maybe that's something we could look at for a future agenda. Mr. Fraley's doing some type of letter or proclamation or something to SFA to express support need for a bilingual certification program.
That would be awesome.
Homegrown. All right. Any other questions? Thank you so much, Ms. Laceda.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that brings us to item 9 on our agenda, and I will entertain a motion.
Madam Secretary, I make a motion that we adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Montoya. Meeting is adjourned at 7:08.
This is, if we could get